Wow. Josh Taylor wants to move up and fight Spence or Crawford. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Renee Discuss, critique, analyze, simply talk about the sport of boxing. Thank you so much, for tuning in. Thank you so much for tuning into lives, commenting in the comment sections, liking, subscribing, sharing. I appreciate each and every one of you. Subscribers since day one, recent subscribers, welcome. Thank you so much for your support. I want to get right to this, definitely. Josh Taylor, he wants to fight. He wants to fight Terrence Crawford or Spence. And there's more. Let's check it out. Let's get right to it. I want to get to it, As you know, link in the description, Boxing News 24/7, yada, yada. Check it out. Link in the description. Okay, we got here, this is just, I think this is very interesting, okay? This is what he says, he quotes, you can check out the article and just go through it more in depth. It says here, I don't want to be fighting, right here, up here, okay? I don't want to be fighting until I'm 36, 37, 38, and the body starts falling apart. Now, there's one thing I want to mention real quick there, concerning what Josh Taylor says. I've said this time and time again, all right? I've said that fighters need to know when to retire. They have to know the right time, to retire. I've been saying it for a while now on my platform, and Josh Taylor is one of those guys. Ryan Garcia also, he said he wants to retire at 26. Canelo Alvarez, if I'm not mistaken, said he wants to fight 5 more years. Anthony Joshua also, I think he said he wanted to retire around 35. I don't think he's going to retire at 35. I think it's going to be a lot, younger. I think Anthony Joshua is going to retire around 33 possibly. But the reason why I say this, maybe Ryan Garcia wants to retire a little bit too young, but the reason I say these things is because, these fighters have, an interesting mindset. I think it's a better mindset concerning when to retire. As far as their perspective on retiring, I think it's best, because when fighters retire early, at the right time, maybe not prematurely, more like at the right time, it's better for their health, and it pushes them and pressures them to fight the top out there. You see what I'm saying? And I think that's great from Josh Taylor. I think that, and he said it precisely. He doesn't want his body to fall apart 35, 36, 37 years old, whatever, and his body falling apart. How many times do we see this? Just a couple examples, just a couple recent examples at least I can think of right now is what? Pulev, in the heavyweight division. Look how he got pummeled, how he got smashed by Anthony Joshua. I think a lot has to do with because of Pulev's age, Kubrat Pulev. He's like 40, something like that, and look how he fights. He's not in his prime. He's just, Triple G, same thing. I know it's controversial, whatever. I'm going to keep standing on what I say because the proof is in the pudding. We can see it. It's so obvious. Ever since Triple G fought, I've said it time and time again on my platform, ever since Triple G fought Daniel Jacobs, you can kind of see he was getting a little bit over the hill. It doesn't mean that he shouldn't fight anymore, but at that time, but I personally think that it was just, and in the rematch, when he rematched Canelo, I think that was it, it's time to retire, hang up them gloves. I said the same about Manny Pacquiao. Obviously, fighters are different. I understand some people show their age, wear and tear later than others because of genetics, whatever you want to call it, right? Like, for example, Manny Pacquiao, he can still fight, but for his health and for his health's sake, I think that, Manny Pacquiao, he's proved more than enough. He should just hang up them gloves, man, leave that belt vacant for other fighters, you know what I'm saying? But whatever, it is what it is. But now, the reason why I say this is because Anthony Joshua, I think he has it's a great mindset. He wants to retire, before his body starts falling apart. And I think that's great, you know what I mean? So he says, I don't want to be fighting until I'm 36, 37, 38, and the body starts falling apart. Well said. He says, ideally, I want to retire at 32 or 33. That's nice. And he says, it's a Ramirez fight looking like February, March, April time. It's most likely going to be in America. So yeah, he says he just wants to fight there and stuff like that. So check this out, ladies and gentlemen. He says, I'm making the weight so much more easily. I could maybe even go down to 135 and challenge for a title there, and then jump up to 147 and be a 3-weight world champion. Wow, he's going for the gusto, ladies and gentlemen. Josh Taylor is going for the gusto. He says here, you've got Teofimo Lopez, who is big for 135. It would be hard to make the weight, but I think it's doable. I think that's less probable. So he's mentioning going down to 135 also, ladies and gentlemen. Isn't that crazy? Isn't that interesting? Isn't that amazing? You know what I'm saying? But I think it's less probable that Josh Taylor go down to 135. I just don't see it happening, but he's showing interest, doesn't mean it's out of the realm of possibility. He's talking about it. So, and another thing I got to point out real fast, Josh Taylor is not one of those guys, who's messing around. He's one of those few fighters that I see personally, in my personal opinion, my humble opinion, he's not blabbing his mouth away. He's not one of those guys. He's not one of those guys that go back and forth so much in social media. Not one of those guys who does 100 interviews every other day, you know what I'm saying? Hour-long interviews, who's just contradicting himself and saying so many things and just blabbing away. He's not one of those guys. Josh Taylor is one of those select few real dogs champions who really want to fight out there. You know what I'm saying? I wish he were more active, in my personal opinion. You know what I'm saying? I wish he were more active, but it is what it is. Whatever, right? So, I just don't think, I see it less probable of him going down to 135. Anyways, so let's just continue in this article. Okay, so you got here, he says, and then I'd jump, I think it's and then, little typo though, and then I'd jump up to 147 to take on Terrence Crawford and Errol Spence, the greats of the sport. Isn't that amazing, ladies and gentlemen? So he's, thrown out those names. And I think it's more probable for him to move up to 147. Obviously, if he beats, and in the article he talks about if he beats Ramirez, he wants to move up in 147. I mean, this is what we want to see in boxing, you know what I'm saying? We got to give a lot of credit. A lot of people aren't even talking about Josh Taylor, ladies and gentlemen. A lot of people don't really talk about Josh Taylor. He's doing amazing things, in the sport of boxing. I mean, look at the belts he has, whatever. I know I don't pay too much attention to the belts, but look at the opponents he has fought to get those belts. I mean, I think, Josh Taylor is one of those few fighters that really deserve the credit in the sport of boxing. You know what I'm saying? Definitely. And, he's talking about, and obviously we're expecting and anticipating the Jose Ramirez fight. If I'm not mistaken, Jose Ramirez is under Top Rank also. I think Josh Taylor is under Top Rank. If I'm not mistaken, okay? I think Jose Ramirez is also, unless I'm wrong, right? I don't really remember there, but, fighting Jose Ramirez, I think this is going to be a great matchup, you know what I'm saying? And, hopefully, I think he's going to beat Ramirez, okay? When the fight is official, Lord willing, you know what I'm saying? I'm going to, do my breakdown and all that kind of stuff, all that good stuff. But I think Jose Taylor stylistically can beat and is most likely going to beat Ramirez. But if he beats Ramirez, okay, and in the article, go read it right in your time, I think Josh Taylor mentioned that if it gets through Ramirez, he wants to move up, and I think it's more probable that he fights Spencer Crawford. But the thing here is that, the way, and it's hard to say because, Crawford, the way that they have been maneuvering this guy, man, I mean, and his opponents in the welterweight division, I got to make it clear, in the welterweight division, it's even controversial. A lot of people, people have been talking about Crawford that, in other divisions that his opponents weren't the best or what have you, whatever, I don't know. But 147, man, I'm focusing more on 147 with Crawford, and the way that, he's been getting his opponents, the opponents he's been getting are not satisfying at all. They don't, no. I mean, you can't go around it. We can't go around that, ladies and gentlemen. I just think that's clear. But why do I say this? Because I don't think, man, something tells me that, it's less probable that Crawford and Taylor can happen for the fact of, I don't know, for whatever fact it is. Maybe it's Bob Arum. Maybe, Bob Arum threw Bud to Todd, some guy named Todd, over Crawford and managing him or whatever, in Top Rank. Whatever, man. I just don't see it. I just don't see Crawford Taylor. That's what I'm trying to get at here. I don't know if he'll fight Spence. I think he wants to. He's expressing it. But I don't know if Spence... Because the thing here, if Taylor goes up to 147, he doesn't have a belt in 147. I don't know if Spence will want that. You see what I'm saying? And I'm not blaming Spence at all. Of course not. You know what I'm saying? Spence worked up the hard way. He fought his way up to to the belts that he has. So I'm taking nothing away from Spence. But it's interesting to see Josh Taylor wants to fight these guys, and like I said, Josh Taylor ain't one of those guys to just be blabbing away, you see? And let's just put a scenario. Even if Taylor moves up, and even if he doesn't fight Bud Crawford or Spence, there are still a lot of great names at 147, ladies and gentlemen. You already know there are great names out there. And I think this is just very interesting. I think he expressed about around maybe 6 more fights in that article. So check it out. I think he expressed about around 6 more fights. So that's enough fights to have great matchups for Josh Taylor at 147. So we'll see what happens, man. Man, I just, this is very interesting, and like I said, Josh Taylor is one of those few cats out there, one of those few champions out there who are really wanting to prove legacy, really going out for legacy, and he's definitely going for the gusto. Like, subscribe, share. Thank you so much for tuning in. Go ahead and comment below. What do you guys think about this? And I'm just really, excited about Josh Taylor's career, as other fighters, obviously, but, right now I just want to make this video, concerning what he said. So, comment in the comment section. What do you guys think? Thank you so much for tuning in to Renee Box Young, man. Stay safe out there. Peace out, fam.